I still remember the exact moment Martin fired me. It was a Tuesday afternoon, the kind where the office hums with quiet focus, and I was buried in quarterly sales data, spreadsheets sprawling across my desk like a map I was trying to decode. The door to my office flew open with a bang. No knock, no warning, just Martin storming in, his face flushed, his presence loud and deliberate, like he wanted to rattle me. "Elena!" he barked, tossing a file onto my desk so hard it skidded across and nearly fell off the edge. "We need to talk now." My heart skipped, but I kept my face steady. I'd learned to do that over the years, stay calm, even when the air feels like it's about to crack. I looked up at him, the man I'd worked under for 4 years, and said, "Of course," gesturing to the chair across from me. He didn't sit. He just loomed there, his shadow stretching over my papers, his eyes narrowed like he was sizing me up for something I didn't yet understand. "The board's decided to restructure the leadership team," he said, his voice clipped, cold like he'd rehearsed it. "We're moving in a different direction, and frankly, we need people who can lead, not just follow spreadsheets." I blinked, the words hitting me like a slap I didn't see coming. "You're firing me?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper, more out of shock than anything else. He smirked, a cruel, satisfied twist of his lips, like he'd just sunk a game-winning shot. "Let's not be dramatic," he said. "We're releasing you from your position, effective immediately. No warning, no performance review, no acknowledgement that my department had just delivered the highest revenue growth in 3 years. Just me, sitting there, and him standing over me like he'd already erased me from the story. That moment, it's burned into me. The way the fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, the faint smell of coffee lingering in the air, the weight of his words sinking into my chest. I could have screamed or cried or thrown that file back at him, but I didn't. I just sat there, steady, and said, "I see." "May I ask why?" His answer came fast, sharp, like he'd been waiting to say it. "You lack vision. You manage tasks, not people. And let's be honest, this industry needs strong leadership, assertiveness, confidence, traits you haven't exactly demonstrated." There it was, not even subtle, a dig at me, at who I was, wrapped in corporate buzzwords. He didn't see me as a leader, not because I hadn't delivered, but because I didn't fit his mold, because I was a woman in a room he thought belonged to men like him. I nodded, my voice calm, neutral. "I understand." He squinted at me, thrown off. I think he wanted a fight, some outburst he could use to prove his point. But I'd learned long ago how to hold myself together in rooms full of egos. "I'll need your badge and company laptop by the end of the day," he added, already turning away. "Your access will be disabled by 5 p.m. HR has your severance details." I stood, extended my hand, and said, "Thank you, Martin. I appreciate the clarity." He hesitated, shook it, and muttered, "Good luck out there," before walking out, satisfied like he'd just won something. I sat back down, exhaled slowly, and stared at the framed photo on my desk. My father, smiling at the ribbon cutting for the company's first regional office. The same company Martin had just released me from. My hands didn't shake. My breath didn't quicken. In fact, I felt lighter. Because what Martin didn't know, what no one in that building knew, was that I wasn't just some department head he could toss aside. 2 weeks ago, something had shifted, something massive, and I'd been waiting for the right moment to use it. I ran my fingers along the edge of that photo frame and whispered, "You told me to wait, Dad. Wait until the time was right." And now it was. Let me take you back a little so you can understand why this stung so deep, and why it set the stage for everything that came next. My father, James Wren, built this company from nothing. Wren Tech started as a tiny tech startup in a rented garage, just him and a handful of dreamers tinkering with code and circuits. He had this vision, not just of innovation, but of people. He believed a company wasn't its products or its profits. It was the humans who showed up every day to make it real. I grew up in that world. As a kid, I'd spend weekends at his office, sprawled under his desk with crayons while he worked. He'd take me to meetings, introduce me to his team, point at a server rack and say, "Elena, this is how we build things. With hard work, with ideas, and with trust." He'd ruffle my hair and grin, and I'd feel like I was part of something big. When he passed away 5 years ago, a sudden heart attack that stole him from us, I was 25, fresh out of college and heartbroken. The company felt it too. He'd been its soul, and without him, it started to drift. I joined Rentec not long after, starting at the bottom like he'd always wanted me to. "You've got to earn it, Elena," he'd said. "Know every piece of this place." So I did. I worked in customer support, in logistics, in marketing, soaking it all in. I loved it. The chaos, the challenges, the quiet victories when a project came together. But then Martin came along. Martin Rees showed up a year after Dad died, all charm and credentials. Harvard MBA, slick suits, a handshake that lingered just long enough to feel calculated. The board ate it up. They saw him as the future, a numbers guy who'd modernize us. But I saw what they didn't. He wasn't about people, he was about power. He started cutting corners, laying off veterans who'd been with us since the beginning, replacing them with cheaper hires who didn't know our history. He turned meetings into his personal stage, steamrolling ideas that didn't come from him or his inner circle. The culture my father built, warm, collaborative, human, it started to erode. And me? I was just another voice he ignored. I stayed, though. I thought I could protect what was left of Dad's legacy. I worked harder than ever, leading my team with the same care he'd shown. I'd suggest strategies, like the time I pitched a marketing plan that could have saved us millions, and Martin would brush it off, say it was too risky, only to pitch it as his own a week later. I'd sit there, biting my tongue, watching him take credit for my work. It wasn't just me he overlooked. It was anyone who didn't kiss the ring. Women, quiet folks, people who cared more about results than optics. He'd stride through the office like a king, tossing out snide comments, expecting us to scramble. And I did scramble, not for him, but for the company I still believed in. Day after day, I poured myself into that place. I'd stay late, poring over data, tweaking projects, rallying my team when morale dipped. We hit milestones, like that software platform we built from scratch. It was grueling. My team and I pulled all-nighters, fueled by coffee and sheer stubbornness. When it launched, it was a hit. Sales soared, industry blogs raved. I was so proud of us. But at the celebration party, Martin took the stage, glass raised, and toasted his leadership. Not a word about the people who'd made it happen. I stood at the back, arms crossed, watching him bask in it. My team deserved that spotlight, not him. But I didn't storm up there, I just smiled faintly and kept going. There were nights I'd sit in my office after everyone left, the hum of the building fading into silence, and wonder, am I enough? I'd replay Martin's words, "You lack vision, you're not assertive," and feel this gnawing doubt. Was he right? Was I too soft, too quiet? But then I'd think of my father, how he led with kindness and still built an empire. No, I'd tell myself, it's not me, it's him. He doesn't see value unless it's loud and brash. I had allies, though, small beacons in the fog. Sarah from accounting, who'd slip me a coffee and a grin when I looked drained. "You're the real deal, Elena," she'd say. Tom from engineering, who'd nod at my ideas even when Martin shot them down. They saw me, even if he didn't, and that kept me pushing. One night, I was working late, again, when Martin passed by my open door. My desk lamp cast a soft glow over the chaos of papers and empty coffee cups. He leaned in, smirking. "Burning the midnight oil, huh? Dedication's nice, but it doesn't win wars." I looked up, tired but steady. "Maybe not," I said, "but it builds things that last." He chuckled, like I'd said something cute, and walked off. I stared at the empty doorway, frustration simmering. He thought I was a footnote. He had no idea what was coming. Everything changed on my 30th birthday. I woke up to sunlight streaming through my apartment window, a quiet warmth wrapping around me. I wasn't big on birthdays, too busy, usually, but this one felt different. Mid-morning, my phone buzzed. It was Mr. Harrington, our family lawyer, his voice warm but cryptic. "Elena, I have something for you. Your father left instructions. You're not to see it until today." Curious, I drove to his office, a cozy space with wood-paneled walls and the faint scent of old books. He handed me an envelope, sealed with Dad's wax stamp, the one he'd used for special letters. My fingers hesitated as I broke it open. Inside was a letter in his neat handwriting, and behind it, a formal document. I unfolded the letter first. "Elena," it began. If you're reading this, you've turned 30, and that means you're ready. I never doubted it, not for a second. You've spent your life working twice as hard for half the recognition. I saw it even when you thought I didn't. The sacrifices, the late nights, the integrity no one else noticed. I also saw how the company changed after I left, and I knew there might come a time when you'd need more than a seat at the table. So, I gave you the table. My breath caught. Tears pricked my eyes as I turned to the document, a trust agreement. It said 90% of Rentec's shares had been placed in my name, held until I turned 30, with full voting rights activated now. I owned the company. 90%. Me. I read it again, then a third time, my hands trembling. Is this real? I asked Mr. Harrington, voice shaky. Yes, he said, calm as ever. Your father structured it to stay off public records. It's airtight. The board doesn't know, unless you tell them. I sat there, stunned, adrenaline buzzing through me. Why not sooner? I asked. He smiled faintly. He wanted you to see the company for yourself first, to know who'd reveal their true colors before you decided what to do. That hit me like a wave. All those years of being underestimated, talked over, dismissed, Dad had seen it. He'd known I'd need leverage, not just a title, and now I had it. I didn't rush in guns blazing. I needed a plan. I met with Mr. Harrington again, going over the legal steps. We can call a shareholder meeting, he said. With your shares, you control the agenda. I nodded. Not yet. I'll tell you when. I wanted Martin to feel secure, to think he'd won. Let him underestimate me one last time. 2 weeks later, he fired me and handed me the perfect opening. I texted Mr. Harrington that afternoon. It's time. Prepare everything. He replied instantly. Understood. Meeting set in 5 business days. The day I got fired, I packed up quietly. A mug my team gave me, some notebooks full of ideas Martin had ignored, that photo of Dad. The office buzzed with whispers as I left. Colleagues shot me sympathetic looks or avoided my eyes. No one asked, but I could feel their questions. What happened? Did she mess up? I stepped outside, sunlight hitting my face, and smiled. Just a small, private one. They thought this was the end. They were so wrong. The next few days, I prepped. I met Mr. Harrington in a downtown cafe, sipping a flat white as he slid the final documents across the table. You're sure? He asked. This'll be a grenade in their boardroom. I met his gaze. They pulled the pin when they fired me. I also sat down with Caroline Winters, the trustee who'd managed the shares. She handed me a folder. Ownership papers, plus a brutal summary of Martin's tenure. Declining morale, high turnover, flat revenue despite a booming market. He's been coasting on hype, she said. He'll tank this place in 2 years if he stays. I nodded. The numbers will do the talking. Monday came and rumors were flying. Texts from old colleagues pinged my phone. Did you quit? Martin's acting normal, but HR's weird about it. Hope you're okay. I didn't reply. Silence was my ally. That night, I stood in front of my mirror, trying on a navy suit I'd bought ages ago but never worn. Sharp, tailored, the kind you wear to own a room. I practiced a few lines, not a speech, just the truth, plain and clear. Tuesday morning, I walked into Rentec, past the receptionist who blinked twice but didn't stop me. Mr. Harrington met me by the elevators. They're in there, he said. Martin thinks it's a strategy review. I smoothed my jacket, took a breath, and stepped forward. The boardroom door clicked open. Heads turned. Martin was mid-sentence, gesturing grandly, and froze when he saw me. Elena, he snapped. This is for board members only. I set my documents on the table and smiled. Exactly. I took the head seat. Silence dropped like a stone. Martin stared, confusion twisting into disbelief. This is a board meeting, he said, sharper now. Employees aren't. I'm not here as an employee, I cut in, calm but firm. I'm here as the majority shareholder. The room shifted. Board members sat up, some curious, some tense. Mr. Dalton, an old-timer from Dad's era, peered at the papers I'd slid him. Is this accurate? He asked. Yes, I said. 90% of the shares transferred to me via trust on my 30th birthday. All legal, notarized, filed. Martin scoffed, loud and desperate. You can't be serious. Why would your father? Because he trusted me, I said, cutting through his bluster, and because he knew what this company needed. I opened the second folder. As majority shareholder, I've called this meeting to review executive leadership, starting with the CEO. Martin shot up, face red. This is a coup, a vendetta! I raised my voice just enough. I'm not asking. I'm acting. I slid the financial report across. Let's talk performance. The numbers were damning. Employee satisfaction down 38%, turnover up 47%, 3 discrimination complaints rotting in HR, revenue flat while competitors soared. I laid it out, testimony from staff, audits, proof of Martin's waste, lavish trips, bloated bonuses, fudged reports. All under your watch, I said, locking eyes with him. He sputtered. You're twisting this for revenge. I don't need to twist, I replied. I have facts. You banked on no one challenging you. That ends now. I pulled the final paper. Effective immediately, I'm moving to remove Martin Ree as CEO. My 90% vote carries it. The secretary gaped. You don't need a second? Not with a majority, I said. Mr. Dalton nodded. Motion stands. Martin slammed the table, but he didn't fight long. He stormed out, rage twisting his face, and for the first time, he didn't look powerful, just small. I turned to the board. This company deserves better. So do its people. Starting today, that's what we'll give them. Mr. Dalton smiled faintly. Welcome back, Elena. I didn't stop at firing him. Taking him down felt good, sharp, satisfying. But this wasn't about revenge. It was about rebuilding. That Monday, I called an all-hands meeting in the main hall. The room filled slowly, employees wary, curious. I stood alone, no notes, just me. Some of you know me, I started. Some only know what you've heard. But I'm here to restore trust. I smiled faintly. I was fired last week, told I wasn't what this place needed. I didn't argue, not then. Because leadership isn't about shouting, it's about vision and respect. A few laughs broke the tension. They were listening. For years, this company ran on you, your ideas, your grit, your belief in it. That got lost. Starting today, it comes back. I spent weeks listening, meeting everyone from interns to custodians, asking what they needed. I promoted Maya, who'd been a rock in customer service, to lead client experience. I rehired Kevin, a developer Martin had driven off. I gutted HR, fired managers who'd bred fear, and launched the People First initiative. Recognition for all, no more ceilings. The shift was slow, then sudden. Laughter returned to the break room. Desks sprouted plants, photos. One day, I saw a whiteboard note. She came back. Not she won. She came back. That hit deeper than any title. A year later, I stood at the glass doors as CEO, suit crisp, peace settling in me. Our strongest quarter in 5 years. Revenue up, retention soaring, all done right. The office felt alive again, like Dad's days. I kept his portrait behind my desk, a quiet reminder. We did it, I whispered to him one night, alone with the city lights outside. This wasn't just victory, it was home. If this story moved you, hit that like button, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe for more. Drop a comment. Tell me your thoughts, your own stories. Let's build something real together. Thanks for being here.